Hello. Good evening. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. You're audible, sir. Good evening, sir. Yes, sir. You're audible.
Who is this, sir?
Shatish. Shatish.
Okay, okay. Please change to your name, sir. Because
Okay, sir.
I'm not able to identify them. Please switch on your camera also initially for 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Then you can. The first time I'm seeing you actually through video. Is my voice clear?
Hi, sir. Hi, sir. It is audible.
Screen visible?
Yes, sir. It is visible.
Just confirm whether the slides are moving. Moving, sir.
Moving, sir. Yeah, it's moving.
Because the last session we had an issue. That's why I asked. Okay, let's wait for people to join. Then we can start maybe.
Sure, sir.
So please take notes, sir, wherever I'm telling. Please take the notes. Okay.
Sure, sure.
Charan, switch on your video, please, for initial 5 minutes. Then you can log off. Then you can switch off your video.
Please give me 2 minutes. I will turn on the camera.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
இது எப்படி போகுது இந்த கேமரா ஆளை பார்த்து தான் தெரியும் பேசுறத வச்சு தெரியும் ப்ளீஸ் ஸ்விட்ச் ஆன் வீடியோ இருக்கிறது 2 பேர் தான் இது எதையோ போய் ஆன் பண்ணீங்க வீட்டில் தான் இருக்கு சார் அதுதான் கேமரா ஆன் பண்ணிட்டு பண்ணிக்கலாம்னு வச்சுட்டேன் செட்டிங் அந்த செட்டிங் தான் ப்ரைவசி செட்டிங் போய் பண்ண சொல்லிச்சு accept பண்ணாம
Good evening, Charan.
morning sir. ஓப்பன் இருந்தாங்கன்னா கேட்போம் அந்த பண்ணி ஆனே ஆகுது ஏசி பண்றதா ஓகே சார் கொஞ்ச நேரத்துக்கு பேசும்போது கேமரா தெரியுது
Actually, many people have not joined. I don't know. Many more participants have joined. They will just wait for 2 or 3 minutes, then we'll start. Madam, please switch on your camera. Shanmugapriya, please switch on your camera. Yeah, just for first few minutes, then you can switch off your camera once we proceed. Just 2 minutes, we'll wait. 3 or 4 more people have to join. I don't know why they have not joined. Okay, sir, we will start. Just 1 more minute, then we will start. But still 4 participants are supposed to join. So how many of you, I am Chidambaram, I am the instructor for today. So how many of you have experience in handling contract labor currently? How many of you have experience in handling contract labor in your current job? Okay. All right. Others? Okay, right. Madam, please switch on your camera, madam. Padmavati, please switch on your camera.
Hello, sir. Sir, can you just give me 5 minutes? Let me just, I've just returned back from my office. Give me 5 minutes. I'll just connect the call, sir. Yeah. I'll just
No,
video.
no,
Yeah.
just 2 minutes. Just we need to capture, then we'll be proceeding. Already we are 5 minutes late, madam. Just a minute. That's all. Then you can again switch off.
Okay, okay, sir. Just a moment. Just a minute.
Just 1 minute, just to click a snap. Okay, today we are going to discuss about the Contract Labor Regulation and Abolition Act 1970. We are not going to see the entire act because in 2 hours we can't do that. And there is also rules. Am I audible? Okay.
Yes, sir. You're audible.
Okay, right. So we'll start with the proceedings. Let people join. I'll admit them as they join. Still few more are supposed to join. Okay, are the slides visible, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. So this is the brief. Please put yourself on mute so that in case of any doubts, I'll take it instantaneously. Please put yourself on mute. Any doubts, please put it in the chat box. So my name is Chidambaram. I'm the founder of Holistic HRM. So this is what our major offerings are. So we have clients into manufacturing, into service industries as well. So we offer strategic HR, policy formulation, total rewards, L&D. We have certification courses, in-house programs, and open programs is what we are currently doing. We also handle competency mapping for organizations, performance management, POSH compliance, analytics. Recently we did for an organization, statutory compliance, HR audits, employee engagement surveys, and corporate social responsibility. We have an exclusive website, and these are my credentials. So basically, I'm a master degree holder in human resource management. Way back in 2001, I completed. So I'm a globally certified HR professional from SHRM US, global professional in human resources, then from XLRA. And these are the major prominent certifications. Then other than this, I have many more certifications which I have not displayed here. So coming to the agenda for today. So what we have in store is we are going to discuss about contract labor broadly. We are not going to get into the micro aspects as such, but in certain sections we'll get into the micro aspects which are very important. Certain things we may skip or we may not discuss. You can do it on your own. But what I'm planning today is, what is the agenda for today is, first you should understand certain terms before you get into the contract, handling contract labor. So what are those terms? So HR guy should know those terms. HR should not speak like other departments without knowing the terminology. Then for which industry it is applicable, whether it is applicable for all industries, we'll see that. Then what are the do's and don'ts? Then there is something called SHAM contract. SHAM contract. Then there is a master-servant relationship. Then we'll see how to register a establishment under the Contract Labor Regulation and Abolition Act, 1970. Then licensing for the contractors. Registration is for the establishment. Licensing is for the contractor. Then prohibition, welfare and health, something very important. Then this is absolutely important. What is the liability of principal employer? Then this question arises very often. Who is responsible for payment of provident fund, ESI, bonus, gratuity? The contractor points the finger to the principal employer. The principal employer points the finger to the contract labor. Then all of you are aware the labor codes has been rolled out in 2019 and 2020. The OSHA's code especially in 2020. Okay. So there are certain prominent changes which you must be aware, which is impacting the current legislation. Then few case laws which I have already shared. Then finally we will conduct a quiz. Then finally I will take a feedback. So this is the agenda. Any other expectations? So any other expectations? Please do let me know. Please put it in the chat box. Any other expectations? Quickly put it in the chat box. I have spelled out the agenda. Somebody is asking for the link, despite providing the link 10 times. Just a minute. What to do? So this really interests actually. 1 minute, sir. I'll just share the link and go. Okay. Right. So any other expectations from the agenda today? Please do let me know. It's fine. Okay. Right. I just request all of you to switch on your cameras for a minute. Padmavati madam, Meena and Surfi sir. Just switch on your cameras for a minute. And then again you can switch off.
Sir, this is Padmavati side. I've been trying to switch on the camera for past 10 minutes, but I am not able to switch it off.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Surfi sir, kindly switch on your camera so that we can proceed further. I hope I'm audible. Okay, fine. If not possible, leave it. Not a big deal. 1 minute. Okay, we'll do it at the end, not an issue. So I'm sharing my screen. Hope the slides are visible. So this is the agenda, what we have today. I've already gone through the agenda for the benefit of the people who have joined just now. Just I'm repeating it. This is what we are going to. I'm going to run through today. We are not going to get into the entire act, but we will be discussing the important provisions of the act and a few case laws and some practical scenarios. Okay, now let's further deep dive into the subject. So before you get into this contract labor, handling of contract labor, this is one area where there is a lot of exploitation. Here, exploitation means too much of deployment of contract labor and less deployment of permanent workers. So why this is happening is basically to reduce the cost, to reduce the liability of the principal employer. Okay, to reduce the liability of the principal employer, to reduce the cost. These are the major reasons, and you can send them whenever you want, provided the agreement is there to that effect. Okay, so this is what we are going to see today. So few terminologies which you must be aware before I dwell on the act. Few important terminologies. One is, just I'll put it in the chat box. I want you to be participative. First terminology is, what is intermittent? Intermittent. What do you mean by intermittent? Can you just reply in the chat box? What do you mean by intermittent? The second terminology is perennial. So what do you mean by intermittent, sir? Quickly put it in the chat box. Intermittent means which is not continuous in nature. Okay, intermittently. So very often this terminology is there in the act, which is not continuous in nature. So activities which are intermittent, which are not continuous in nature, you can deploy contract labor. Activities which are continuous in nature, you cannot deploy contract labor. Perennial means continuous. Perennial means continuous. So which activity is continuous? Which activity is continuous? Somewhere in the act, they have said any activity which is carried on for 120 days. 120 days, that is continuous. Any activity which is carried on for 120 days, that activity is continuous. But having said that, there are certain activities like security, housekeeping, gardening, maintenance activities which are carried out 24/7 even during Diwali, Pongal, Ramzan, Bakrid, etc. There we are deploying contract labor. But how is it so? So we'll get into the crux of the act. Okay. So these two terms you'll come across very frequently in the act, intermittent, perennial. So be aware of these two terminologies. So before I get on to the objectives, you should know certain other terms. First is contract labor. See, these are important terms. Contract labor, contractor, principal employer, workman. Four definitions are given in the act itself: the Contract Labor Regulation and Abolition Act. Section 10 alone, please note it down. Section 10 alone speaks about the abolition of contract labor. Abolition means banning, complete ban on contract labor. Complete ban, total ban. Mulu tadai contract. That section 10 alone deals with contract labor. Remaining all sections deals with regulation. Section 10 alone deals with abolition. Okay, so the act is called the Contract Labor Regulation and Abolition Act, 1970, CLRA 1970. So section 10 alone speaks about abolition. All the remaining sections talks about regulation. So the four definitions we will see: contract labor, contractor, principal employer, workman. First we'll see principal employer. Though I have not shown it in order, I'll go in sequence. First you must understand principal employer. Who is the principal employer? Principal employer is the company, basically. The company, whoever is the occupier or the owner of the factory. Let us say there is a company called XYZ Engineering. There is a company called XYZ Engineering. Some hypothetical name. XYZ Engineering. So that is the principal employer. Or it could be ABC or anything else. So that company is the principal. In that company, the company does not have any life. People employed there. Who's the person? Who's the principal employer? ABC is the principal employer. In ABC, who's the principal employer? Who's responsible? The occupier and manager of the factory. In case of a factory, if it is a mine, the owner of the mine or the manager of the mine, whoever has been mentioned while registering the establishment under the Act. In case of offices or department of the government or any local authority, the head of that office, whoever is the head of that office will have many employees, 100 or 200 or whatever it is. The head of that office or a head of a particular, let's say, administration department or whatever department you call it, administration or licensing or legal department. Tomorrow, any notice is served, it will be served to that person working in ABC or XYZ. So this is what you should keep in mind. For any office, the HOD, the head of that office, the department head, it could be the HR guy or the HR head. In case of a factory, the occupier, the owner, occupier or manager, or both. In a mine, owner or agent and manager. In any other establishment, the person responsible for the supervision and control of the establishment. So while registering the establishment, generally we in Tamil Nadu, see, there are two things: Act and rules. While sending the application for registration, somebody will be signing, right? That person is responsible for the establishment. So this is the principal employer. Let's say the principal employer engages a contractor for canteen services or security or gardening or housekeeping. So the principal employer is ABC. Then coming to the next term, who's a contractor? This is the second terminology you must know. See, if you are thorough with the terminologies, the whole act will be clear. Okay. The whole act will be clear. This is the first terminology. Second terminology, contractor. So who's a contractor? The definition goes like this. In relation to an establishment, see, establishment could be a factory, could be a mine, could be shops and establishments, or could be anything else. We'll come to the coverage later. Could be a factory, it could be a mine, it could be a shop, it could be an establishment. So who's a contractor? Contractor in relation to an establishment means a person who undertakes to produce a given result for the establishment. What is the result? I am supplying security to XYZ. The security's duty is to safeguard the assets, to protect the assets from theft, etc., and to safeguard the people. That is the result. Other than mere supply of goods of articles of manufacture. Or who supplies contract labor? The person who supplies contract labor. Let us say in this case, the security is, let's say, ISS. Or let us say Group 4. Or let us say any other company for that matter. Isn't it? So he is the contractor. And the principal employer is, as I said, it's XYZ or ABC. The principal employer, and he is the contractor. The person whom the security guards, they are the contract laborers. They are the contract laborers. See here, one important thing is I have highlighted in yellow. it includes a subcontractor. If this contract fellow, the security guy, group 4, G4, in turn, subcontracts the service to any other security. He's not subcontracts to, let's say, a C4. So the C4 is also your contractor. But generally in the agreement, what we mention is, the agreement, we mention you are not supposed to subcontract, or you can subcontract. Either ways it can be. But mostly, whatever agreements I have seen, 95%, it will have a clause you are not supposed to. You are not supposed to subcontract these services. Already we are outsourcing our activity. That contractor, in turn, if he outsources, then it becomes a problem. But as per the act, he is also a contractor. So it includes a subcontractor also. So that is one part, contract. Now, who is a contract labor? A contract labor shall be deemed to be employed as contract labor in or connection with the work of an establishment. Establishment could be a factory, mine, shop, or a plantation or anything. When he is hired or in connection with such work through a contractor, with or without the knowledge of the principal employer. Please understand, with or without the knowledge. See, suppose I am the owner of ABC or XYZ. I am the occupier, or I am the factory manager, let us say, or I am the HR head of the office, let's say. Without my knowledge, this ISS fellow, or let's say this another fellow, ABC, let's not take names. Another fellow, ABC. ABC is my contractor. He engages some person without my knowledge. Then that person is also a contract labor. Whether he is deploying with my knowledge or without my knowledge, that is immaterial. Okay, it could be with knowledge or it could be without knowledge, but generally in industry practice, what they do is they take the person, they come to the guy who's handling the contract labor. They come and show the person, sir, deploy. They show him in person. Just like how I asked you to switch on the cameras during the beginning of the meeting, something like that, just to say, get their Aadhaar, all the identification, cover them under all the statutory obligations, which we are going to see later. Then only they deploy. Just directly they get, because tomorrow if any accident happens or if any any mishap happens inside the factory, that this fellow is sitting in the administration department will be pulled up. Because he will go and have he'll be completely blank. Only he'll be seeing the dead body there. So the good practice is, whomever you are engaging, whether XY is that ABC or a small ant also, without your knowledge, it should not come inside the factory. So that is why it's with or without the knowledge they are telling. Because sometimes in emergency, what they do is, especially these manufacturing fellows, what they do is they apply so much of pressure on the administration fellow, and they try to somehow, even without informing the inspector of factories, they bring the contract. Later on, they register and they get the approval from the CEO. This has happened. This has happened. I'm not telling something which has not happened. This has happened. This is happening. Whether that is correct? No, totally wrong. Violate. So, as a HR manager, your responsibility is to get it in email. Sir, with your knowledge only I am deploying, though we have not intimated to the JDish or dish, whatever it is. We are deploying this fellow since you have told due to customer pressure or production pressure, whatever it is. So likewise, you will have to record it in email. Otherwise, this oral thing and all will not work. Tomorrow, that fellow will tell, the operations fellow, manufacturing fellow, or the quality control fellow will tell, no, I only asked, he only deployed, sir. I do not know all these rules and all contract labor rules. Like that, then we will be terminated. So it's better to put it in the mail. So these things I have encountered. That is why I'm telling. Okay, right. So this is contract labor. So they have also defined workmen. Here, workman means any person employed in or in connection with the work of any establishment to do any skilled, semi-skilled, unskilled, manual, supervisory, technical, or clerical work. Could be the following types of jobs. It could be skilled, could be highly skilled also. It could be supplied by a contractor. Highly skilled in IT companies, it's happening. Highly skilled, semi-skilled. It could be unskilled, scavenging. It could be manual. It could be supervisory. It could be highly technical. It could be clerical work. The terms of employment be express or implied. What do you mean by express or implied here? Can anyone put it in the chat box? What do you mean? This is a very, very important term. Express or implied. I'll come to see, it does not include, I'll come to that. It does not include managers. It does not include administrative capacity. It does not, here we are telling it includes supervisor. In clause B, they are telling it does not include supervisors who are drawing more than 10,000, just like your ID Act. And outworker. Outworker means completely we have given the job to some other person. In their premises, they are cleaning, washing, altering, ornamenting, jewelry, finishing, repairing, etc., etc., etc. We have no connection. All these things are not included. Now I'm asking you, what is the meaning of express or implied? Can anyone put it in the chat box? Can anyone put it in the chat box? What do you mean by express or implied? Quickly, sir. There's a lot of things to cover. Already it is 7:30. What do you mean by express or implied? Only if you interact, I'll have the energy to further continue. Otherwise, I will never know whether you are understanding, whether you are following, whether you are alert or not. That is the biggest disadvantage in online session. What do you mean by express or implied? Communicated. To be said or done openly. Implied undercover. Okay. Correct. So express means you are giving it in writing. Implied is, as you said, it's obvious, it's understood. So the new new OSHA's code, please note it down. The new code on occupational safety and health 2020, under that, it's not there in the current Contract Labor Act. In the new code, they have clearly mentioned, even for contract labors, appointment order must be issued. Even for contract labors, appointment order must be issued. So in the new code, so it's going to come, but really we do not know when it's going to come. It's there. It has been there since 2020. But in the new code, they have clearly mentioned contract labors should be given appointment letter in writing. Okay, right. So that is express or implied. So it means all these types of workers, but does not include MAS. They call it as MAS, generally managerial, administrative, and supervisory, drawing greater than 10,000. And outworker. Outworker means you're totally outsourcing the work to different premises. Completely வேற ஒரு இடத்துக்கு, நம்ம ஃபேக்டரி விட்டு வேற ஒரு இடத்துக்கு அந்த குட்ஸ் போகுது. அங்கே அந்த ஜுவல்லரியை பாலிஷ் பண்ணி clean பண்ணி again they are sending it to back. So that premises will not come under our scope. The owner is somebody else, but if you are the owner, then it will come. Right. So these are the 4 things which you must know. So 6 terminologies totally you must know. First is, I said, intermittent, which means not continuous. Then perennial means continuous. In continuous nature of work, you cannot engage contract labor. So what is not continuous? So what is continuous? Anything which is done more than 120 days is continuous. They have given in the Act explanation. So perennial is something which is continuous. So you cannot engage contract labor. Then we saw the definition of principal employer. Then we saw the definition of contractor. We also saw subcontractor comes under contractor. Then we saw contract labor. Here important thing is whether you are aware or not, the person is inside with or without the knowledge. Then we saw workman. So same definition as given in section 2 subsection S of the ID Act. Same thing. We have copied and pasted here. Okay. So these things we have seen. Now let's deep dive into the objectives of the Act. So once you are clear with the terminology, the whole Act, not only this Act, any Act will become very easy. The important terminologies you should first know, because you should be able to connect those terminologies when you are reading the Act. Because labor laws is like mathematics. Only if you understand. See, in human resources, 1 plus 1 is greater than 2. Labor laws, 1 plus 1 is not greater than 2. It's 2 only. Only if you understand, you can apply it. Such a complex subject. So that is why I first explained the important terminologies. Intermittent, perennial, principal employer, contractor, contract worker, and workman. Now, what are the objectives of the Act? Objectives are, as I said initially during the discussion of this meeting, to prevent exploitation. Exploitation means, if you refer to the Oxford Dictionary, it says using people selfishly. Isn't it? Selfishly. Why? As I said, because of the economics, cost. So here the objective is to prevent that exploitation of contract labor and also to give better conditions of work. Then to provide welfare and health provisions. To regulate employment of contract labor. Regulate means control. And abolish contract labor in certain circumstances. See, in one company, I'll tell you, I don't want to name the company. Moreover, this thing is being recorded. I share the recording. In one company, it's based out of Coimbatore. I can tell the place, but I cannot name the company. In one company, 60 to 70% are contract labor. It's a big company, not a small company, mind you. They are doing a huge turnover, great profits. 60 to 70%, 70% I can confidently tell they are engaging contract labor. Only 20% are 10% trainees. Only 10 to 15% are permanent. So this is a clear case of exploitation. Obviously, for obvious reasons, I cannot name the employer name. Right. Okay. Anyway, you can figure out. I have told you the place. The company is in Coimbatore. Right. Then the last point here, Section 10 deals with abolition and, as I earlier told, Section 10 alone, out of the entire Act, Section 10 alone deals with abolition. Abolition means completely eliminating, eradicating. Why? Because of these companies, which I told in Coimbatore. Okay. And remaining section deals with abolition. Sorry, remaining section deals with the regulation. Here there's a typo. Remaining section deals with regulation. So, but the pathetic part is, please note it down. I don't know whether I have captured in the presentation. Pathetic part, sad part is the new code, OSHA's code. They have not mentioned about abolition. They have completely eliminated the abolition section itself, which is very, very negative, I would say. Negative. So these are the reasons why the unions are against, except the current ruling government, union government, BJP, all other unions are against the new codes, isn't it? So these are the reasons. Certain controversial things have been omitted. This one thing has been omitted. Section 10 totally it's not there. Doesn't speak about abolition, which is bad. But there are certain clauses which are positive also. But with respect to this, they have totally removed this abolition, which is really bad. Right. Okay. So when and all, so let's, because currently it's not implemented, so let's live with the current act itself. Let's not get into the future. But that's going to come. But when it's going to come, it's like Pulivara Kadana, we do not know. So abolish contract labor in certain cases. So when the current act, so nature of work, the Joint Chief Inspector will see. The Deputy Chief Inspector, the currently Joint Director will see the nature of work, whether it's perennial. So what's the meaning of perennial? Continuous. It's a continuous activity, then obviously no. Continuous, and if it's a core activity. But it's not mentioned in the act. Please understand. Nowhere the Tamil Nadu Contract Labor Rules 1975, or for that matter, any state rules, it's not mentioned. What is a core activity? They are not defined. But it's up to the inspector of factories to take cognizance whether the current activity is perennial or not. Basically, anybody can observe the activity for a few hours or so and come to a conclusion whether it is perennial or not. So first they will check whether it is perennial. If it's perennial, they will not allow. Second, whether the same work is done by a regular workman. Regular workers are also doing the same input, process, output. Contract workers are also doing the same identical input, process, output. Then they will abolish. Whether the activity they are doing involves considerable number of full-time workers. Particular activity you are giving it, sir. Some activity you are giving it. Let's say polishing in a jewelry industry or whatever it is. Many full-time workers are there. He will think twice before issuing. Then he'll have a look at the general working conditions. How is the working conditions? How is the humidification? How is the other welfare amenities? What is the break they are providing? In Amazon, this I can confidently use the company name because it's there in the public domain. In Amazon, they didn't allow the workers to go to the restroom because of work pressure. They didn't allow. It came in the papers. Twice it came. They have imposed fine. Chennai warehouse, where workers were doing some packing or something. They didn't allow them to go to the toilet. It's absolutely ridiculous. So all these conditions, the inspector will check whether it is continuous. Many regular workers are doing. Many number of full-time workers are doing. Whether the working conditions are congenial. Whether the welfare is good, all these things he will have a look and then he will issue. But practically, this will not happen. Practically, you know what will happen. You will have to go and meet it. Then you know what will happen. Okay. But we being in this compliance perspective, we'll have to be very careful because we are stuck in the middle. This top fellow, what he will do, he'll put the blame. It has happened. It has happened to me. That is why they'll point fingers to us because to safeguard their job. And the operation guy, mostly it is the operation guy because there are the many number of workers are there. They will also put pressure. So it's a double-edged sword. Right. See, after the CLRA Act came into force in 1970, so the state governments, different state governments have issued notifications prohibiting contract labor in core operation of private companies, especially in the manufacturing activities of textile industries, steel plants, because textile, leather, footwear, jewelry, all these industries are labor intensive. Automation is there, but highly labor intensive. So here, more number of workers are there and more number of outsourced workers are there. So in the core operations, they involve these contract labors. So the state governments have prohibited deployment of contract labor. But having said that, it is still happening. You can ask how, sir, that you will come to know only when you handle it practically. Then in material handling, then maintenance in one of the companies, I'll give you an example. One of the companies based out of Cochin, when they were loading and unloading the materials, suddenly it was through a contract. Okay, through a contract, they were loading and unloading some electronic items. In the warehouse adjacent to the corporate office. They are in Cochin. They are loading and unloading. Suddenly, the management, what happened? You know, Kerala is known for all this dharna and other kind of things. Suddenly, they struck work one day. So, the management deployed some other group to do that activity. Immediately, these fellows came inside and they stopped that. They tell, till we are here, you are not supposed to handle. We have an agreement with the management. We are only doing this work. It is a state-wide dharna or strike, one-day strike. So that's why we have not turned to work. How dare you do this? They asked. Then the chairman himself loaded and unloaded the material. Then everybody went up. It came in the papers. Okay. So material handling. Then maintenance work in refineries and chemical industries. So in chemical industries, what happens? This maintenance frequently, because of using all these specialty chemicals and other chemicals. So maintenance is something which requires a specialized skill. You will not get people easily for the job. Maintenance activities in refinery and chemical. So generally, they outsource it. But if there is a strong union, they want allow this. So state governments have issued notifications, especially in the following things, whatever I have told: textiles, leather goods, footwear, jewelry, etc. All right. So this is something very important which you will be aware of. Anyway, I'm once again repeating it. See, when this act is applicable, two things you must know. Two parties are there. When this act is applicable, see, in case of principal employer, P means principal employer. In case of contractor, of course, three parties are there, but we are taking only two parties here for the purpose of applicability, scope and applicability. Principal employer is party number 1. Contractor is party number 2. Contract worker is party number 3. We are not going to discuss this now. So principal employer, when this is applicable for this ABC, if 20 workers are there. Similarly, for contractor, when this is applicable, 20. 20 in the same establishment, please understand, the same ABC. If he is having 10 in ABC, in XYZ he is having 10, then both is 20. No, this doesn't apply. This particular establishment, it should be 20 or not. But 20 is a very important number as far as the Contract Labor Regulation and Abolition Act is concerned. So you should keep in mind 120. 120 is for perennial in nature, and 20 is for applicability. for both principal employer and contractor. So 20 பேர் இருந்தாதான் அந்த establishment-க்கு இந்த act apply ஆகும். Let's say if only 19 are there, then no. Let's say 20 are there, 20 and above, then it's applicable. All contractors put together. You will have a contractor by name, let's say P, Q, R, S, contract, different contractors. All put together 20. This is for the one establishment. But for the contractor, in that particular establishment, you should have 20 or more. Then only it's applicable. And for the principal employer, he should take RC. RC means certificate of registration. He should take RC if he has 20 or more. For the contractor, he should take contract license if he has 20 or more. So without these two things, you are not supposed to engage contract labor. Once one government official, means the inspector of factories, became very wild, because what happened is, when one company, they deployed without informing, without communicating in form number 1. Without communicating in form number 1, we'll have to communicate in form number 1 in Tamil Nadu. From state to state, it varies. They will in turn issue the registration certificate in form number 2. So without communicating, as I told, because of the pressure applied by the manufacturing head, the administration manager went and deployed these people. And tomorrow, and after some time, this manufacturing head told, I only asked people, he only applied. I do not know all these acts. So ignorance of law is not accepted. So that is why I said, please put it in writing. Please put it in writing to the approving authority. Here in this case, it is the factory manager or the occupier. Sir, as per your advice, you put it. So tomorrow he will take a call and tell, don't do it. Because tomorrow then he will have to go to the court. That is the way how I have operated. Because see, we are here not to stop the revenue for the company or stop the production. We are only saying, please comply. Because once we submit the documents, things won't move from this table to that table. Okay, we'll have to go at least 2 times there, 2 to 3 times. Then he will tell you come on Monday, then he will tell you come on Friday. Then only he will issue. Now it is of course online, but even for that online, he will tell you take a printout, you give it to the clerk there, front office clerk, then he will issue. But these fellows will talk, then how I will serve the customer. See, both sides we'll have to see. What I'm telling is, do it, but put it in email. Without email, don't do it. Otherwise, your appraisal will take a hit tomorrow if any problem comes. Okay, so this is the applicability, 20 for both parties. But of course, there are certain extraordinary cases, exemptions are there for intermittent or casual work. For certain states, there are specific threshold. Threshold means limited. So though I'm telling 20, in some states it's 50. Uttar Pradesh, Andhra Pradesh, and all. Okay, AP, Maharashtra, Gujarat, Rajasthan, UP, the 20 is 50. In Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh, it is 40. So in the new code, this is moving to 50. This 20 is moving to 50. So another change, which means the bottom line is small contractors will not be covered. Small contractors will not be covered. I don't know whether it's good or bad. Whether it's good or bad, I think it's not so good, because a person is a person, a life is a life. So specific timelines and conditions vary by state. Here the timeline is before you engage. Engage பண்ணிட்டு அப்புறம் போய் register பண்ணக்கூடாது. That is against the law. Before you engage so and so contractor for so and so work, you are engaging XYZ contractor for taking care of the electrical substation in shifts, let us say. Even if it's an electrical department, important department, without that the factory will not run, without that the AC will not work, Without that, the machinery will not run. You are not supposed to do it. But if the management says it, otherwise you lose your job. You put it in email. That is what time and again I'm reiterating. I'm emphasizing. Okay, right. So this and all we can quickly run through. Central Advisory Board. There is something called Central Advisory Board. So the role of this Central Advisory Board is it advises the central government on the administration of the act. How to administration of the act. Who and all will be there in the Central Advisory Board? The Central Labor Commissioner. Central Labor Commissioner. CLC is Chief Labor Commissioner. Chief Labor Commissioner Central, because it's central government. And representatives from the industry body, from the contractors, and both. So it advises. Similarly, there is a State Advisory Board. Okay. Wherever the appropriate government is the central government, the Central Advisory Board will come into play. Wherever the appropriate government is the state government, the State Advisory Board will come into play. Okay. This is registration. I told principal employer has to obtain registration before deploying contract labor. It is mandatory for establishments with 20 or more contract workers. But in certain states, it's already 50. In J&K and Ladakh, it is 40. In the new code, it is becoming 50. So small contractors are excluded from the coverage. So the registering officer here is the JDISH. They are appointed by the government. They are the gazetted officers for the purposes of the act. So certificate of registration is issued. So the in short form, it is called as RC. So sometimes they cancel it. Revocation means cancellation. If you have obtained by fraud or misrepresentation. Okay, it will be cancelled. It will be cancelled. Let's say, how can you do fraud, sir? Here, let's say one example I will give you. Along with this, you will have to submit the agreement, whatever agreement you have entered with that contractor. You will have to pay the minimum wages. Nowadays, minimum wages you don't get people. You will have to pay at least 1.5 times of the minimum wages because the cost of living has skyrocketed. So if you misrepresent, let's say the wages, there is a case law which we are going to see. Let's say in the agreement, both the parties, let's say I'm the contractor, another person is the owner. I'll tell sir per day 600. Okay, sir. I'll take 200. I will give the fellows only 300. Then 300 go into my pocket. So there is misrepresentation. The agreement, it is not spelled out clearly. Just I'm putting the minimum wages, but I'm maintaining second books, another book. So if they figure out this, then they will revoke the license. This is just one example. Just one example. Let's say I'm only getting a registration as an establishment or as a contractor. I'm getting a license to employ only 50 workers because there is a slab rate. Okay, there is a license fee. There is a caution of security deposit. It varies. I'm telling. I'm just putting to avoid the security deposit and the fees. I'm going to deploy 200, but I'm only showing 100 so that I can save money, which means it's again misrepresentation. The common thing is in the workers they will play. Workers they will play like the number of workers. They will just put the minimum, but they won't show it, which is bad. I'm not telling all companies. There are ethical companies. So without registration, contract labor cannot be employed. If you employ, then it becomes a problem. Your company will be blacklisted. It will come in the media. Then when they are coming for a social accountability audit, SA 8000, or if they are coming for any audit, let's say, then it becomes a problem for them. So this we have discussed. Prohibition we have discussed in length. So contractors need license. Establishments need registration. Contractors need license. Don't get confused. Okay. Establishment does not require license. Establishment needs registration. Contractor needs license. It's issued by the licensing officer. It contains conditions of the employment. What is the condition of employment? I will show you a sample license. I have a sample license. I will show you the sample license. I'm trying to show it now itself. First, I will show you the sample. Let's see, what is this? So are you able to see this screen? This is, yeah, this is for Tamil Nadu. Okay. So state wise it will vary. The forms will vary. So this is how it looks. So you will have the factory registration number here. TN is for Tamil Nadu. P is for principal employer, which year. And this is the registration number, whatever they have issued. 10/6 they have issued. Name is XYZ, Sriperumbudur, Chennai, Tamil Nadu, or whatever is the district. I'm not sure. Automobile company. Okay, here this fellow is the principal employer, Mr. Subramanian, plant head, because management has nominated him. Management has nominated Mr. R. Subramanian. So he is only responsible tomorrow. So he will call you. If anything goes wrong, he will call you. So permanent, it will be like this. Permanent 500. How much contract you are willing, you are going to deploy? Let's say if the permanent is, let's say 50. Then there's something very, it raises a suspicion. You are having 50 permanent workers, you want to deploy 150, yeah, 1/3. See, the act does not say, the act does not give any ratio and all. Nowhere in the act it has mentioned for this much permanent workers, you can have this much contract labor. That's ratio. But having said that, the fellow whoever is issuing the registration will look at it, whether you are providing permanent employment or whether you are exploiting people. See, nature of work, utilities and housekeeping, security services, maintenance and repair work. Because it's something which is specialized. Material handling and logistics. I told you the material handling example in Cochin. The maximum number of contract workers engaged daily, maximum on any day. Here you are taking it for 150. So maximum is 150. So whatever is the registration fees, that we'll have to look at the slab rates. Then what is the challan number? You have, now everything is online, right? Now these are the terms and conditions. Registration is valid, subject to compliance with provisions. What are the provisions? We will take a look, especially the canteen part, restroom part, etc. Principal employer is responsible. The second point is very, very important. Principal employer responsible for ensuring compliance by contractors. Registration is non-transferable. What is the meaning of this? Very important. See, tomorrow, if you are selling your company to some other company, that fellow has to apply on his own. If he changes the company name or something, ownership changes. You can't say this is valid and subject to inspection and audit. Designs and issues. So this is the contract license. So this contract registration is issued in Form 2, Rule 18, Sub-Rule 1 as per the Tamil Nadu Contract Labor Rules 1972. This is Rule 25, Sub-Rule 1 of the Tamil Nadu Contract Labor Rules 1975. So license number there. This is for the contractor. Okay. Again, issue valid. Name of the contractor. We saw ABC is in Ambattur. Mechanical. This is a real thing. Okay. This is not a something which is not a dummy data. This is a real data. Mechanical, maintenance and utility services. Only the company names I have changed. Principal employer XYZ. Location maximum C 100. License fees yes paid. See, he will also tell each contractor how much he can engage. See, if you are getting license here for 150, and tomorrow, if this contractor is some ABC engineering services, okay, XY is that engineering services. He is also applying 100 for your company. 100, it comes to 200. Then the fellow, whoever is checking it, then some doubt will come in his mind. Again, security deposit, license fees, it varies. There's a slab rate, you'll have to check. And terms and conditions is generally for 1 year. Maximum number should not be exceeded. This is where they play a lot, because overnight the customer comes and tell from the foreign country, this much we need. And this is what he says: maintain all statutory register. Here, the most important register is the muster roll and the wage register and the pay slip. Non-transferable, subject to penal action for violation. So this is how it looks. Right. Okay. So again, licenses can be revoked for violations. Appeals allowed within 30 days to appellate authority. So before we move on to the welfare provisions, which is something very important, a separate part under the Contract Labor Act. Till now, any doubt in the terminologies and the registration and the license? You can ask me. Next 10 minutes is for doubts, because continuously I cannot go and tell. Only if you understand I can further proceed. If any doubts, please ask me now, so that I can go to the second half of this session, which is pertaining to welfare, case laws, etc. Any doubts? Not even one doubt. The terminologies, registration part, licensing part.
So, sir, you're able to hear me, sir? I'm Meena.
Yeah. Clear, madam. Please tell.
So, I'm actually working for a factory. Factory, as in, like, say, this is a manufacturing unit to do with dental, medical devices. They manufacture the artificial tooth. So, this is a startup organization, and yeah, in a startup, obviously there are a lot of challenges now, like till the time we attain that break even and all that. So what happens is, like, the initial, it is going to be almost 2 years since the time it started, and yeah, the thing is, we have people all are employed in the full-time salaried role. But due to the current situation that the business has to take off and all that, like that, but still we need, as you said, like that intermittent and perennial workers, like say that 120 days, I can understand that we need only people on permanent role, but the management feels like, say, why can't we take people on contract, pay them that 21,500, whatever is the prescribed thing as salary, and not give them ESI or PF and all that. Is it appropriate or correct to do that way? I'm not able to address this point very clearly, so I end up having people in the roles with all the statutory compliances part covered for.
See, what you will have to do is, first of all, so here the challenge for you is, you will have to educate your founders and the so-called top management of the organization, whatever it is. Okay. Today it is a startup. Startup tag generally will be there for 5 years, not more than that. Beyond 5 years, still you cannot, not only you, for that matter, any company cannot claim itself as a startup beyond a period of 5 years. So you will have to continuously, I wouldn't say continuously, it depends upon the culture and the management, whatever it is, whether they are willing to hear you, because in some companies, they just don't listen to HR, the poor HR. So they are willing to listen, if they are good people, if they have, if they are logical, if they have common sense, if they are fair, then they will listen. You'll have to tell, though in the act, see, you'll have to put it in such a way how in future, tomorrow, if our company becomes, let's say, a $1 billion company or a $10 million company or whatever it is, how our brand will be viewed, how we will be able to attract talent, all those kind of things. So let's say, how many employees are there in your company?
We are about 65.
6, sir.
65.
65. Okay. How many are regularized? How many are permanent employees?
All are permanent employees. But
Okay.
off late, what happens is, like, say, people because of the attrition and other things where we train and all that, because this involves a lot of technical skills also. Many technicians have to be trained and all. We take people at a level where they are join as a fresher and then they get trained. So there are situations when they also quit immediately and all that happens. No, it's not because of the culture, it's the nature of the job. Probably it's a more like
Yeah, attrition is quite common nowadays. Attrition is
so
quite
why
common.
is it that we need to pay that ESIPF and all, take on contract, pay this much? That these types of
See,
talks.
that is a different story, madam. If you are paying more than 21,000 or whatever it is, 15,000 for 21,000 for ESI and 15,000 for PF, then they will come out of the ambit of Provident Fund and ESI. That is fine. But what your management recommends, hiring future people on a contract basis. That is what you're trying to say.
In future, that is this year, this financial year, that is the talk which is going on.
Okay.
And if in case I even hire somebody and
See, two things you will have to see.
Mm.
One is whether the job for the business requires that person to be with you forever. Whether there is a critical skill, whether it can be easily replaced. You should have a checklist. Whether it is a critical skill, whether if you go to the market, more supply is there than the demand. If there is more supply than the demand, then it's not a critical skill. That is one thing. Or if the learning curve, as you said, the learning curve, the time taken to learn the job is high. Let's say the time taken to get into full, to give the full efficiency, let's say is 18 months or 24 months. Then the learning curve is very big. The learning curve is high. So in such scenarios, you cannot, this is my view, you cannot outsource them, because you train a fellow. The moment he learns, two things you will have to see: whether the job is going to be there forever, even if it is there forever, whether the talent availability in the market, whether the supply outstrips demand, That is point number one. Point number two, whether you can easily train the people. If the answer to both the questions is yes, then you can outsource. But at the same time, as a HR person in that organization, whatever is the organization, your duty is to ensure the number of people on roles versus outsourced is pretty much decent. Something, whatever you are telling is fine. Okay, now you can hire 65, all are permanent. Okay, tomorrow let us say some company is becoming 500, only 50 are permanent, 450 are outsourced. Then there is something I wouldn't say wrong with the unethical with the management. The management is not willing to share the profitability, the revenues, or the growth, or the success story to the society. That is the way I look at it. But to answer to your question, two things you should see. One is find out whether the supply outstrips demand, whether you can easily train people. Provident Fund ESA, it should not be an issue. If it is more than 21, naturally you can come out of it. But how you attract talent is very important. Whether you are able to attract talent, that you'll have to see. because I'm not very much sure about the space in which you are. I don't have much knowledge on that space. So from sector to sector, it varies. It varies actually. Sector to sector, it varies. So this is my answer. See these two things, whether you, because tomorrow they'll come to you only for hiring people. If you're going to take so much of time to hire people, and if you are not able to fill up, then that becomes an organizational issue. That becomes an organ. Always don't fix the problem in the short run. Fix the problem in the long run.
Yeah.
That should be the thing. Yeah, I'm getting them out of the Provident Fund ESA, that is fine. But see what who is your competitor? Please check. What's your strength? Please check. What other players are doing? Please check. And just ask the question: are we fair to the employees? Whatever revenue we are making, are we fair to the employees? Because for you, it's not only important to sustain the business, you will have to grow your business. Because there are startups, which I'm also handling. Still, they are killing startups even after 7 years. I don't know what is happening. I don't know whether I have answered your question or not.
No, I understand your point, sir. I understand your point. The other thing is, like, sir, I came across recently a contractor for securities. Basically, he was mentioning that for securities there is some other thing which is applicable, I believe, no? For on contract this thing, this P, some terminology he said, some abbreviation he used. They come under a particular industry, and so they are supposed to pay only this much for a year.
Correct. Yes, true. That's true. That's true. There is a separate minimum wages for the security guards.
Yeah.
Security guard, there is a separate minimum wages. But generally, what we will do is we will show the minimum wages, whatever is applicable to our industry, whether it is automobile or electronics. We will show that. We will take the RS Sharma book and we will show, sir, this page, this is what. But generally, that fellow will come and show, sir, this is what is according to that employment of security guard. This is what we are supposed to pay. That is much higher than the prevailing industry rates. Yes, that's true. You will have to pay that.
Is it higher, sir? Because from the quote what they gave me, they said it is according to this is the minimum wages that we are supposed to pay.
No, whether it is high, whether your industry is covered under minimum wages.
Sorry, sir.
Whether your industry, whatever industry you are working, it is covered under the minimum wages.
Yes, it is covered under minimum wages.
Okay. Whatever the minimum wages, it is mentioned there for the security guards. Is higher or lower than whatever the security fellow is telling?
Oh, that comparison I didn't do because he was mentioning about this point. So I thought, okay, he's matching to the as per that wage standard.
Madam, actually, whichever is higher, you will have to pay, madam. Always the law says whichever is higher, you will have to pay. That only will prevail in the court of law. See, whatever is benefit to the employees, you will have to pay. Whichever is higher, suppose say the current industry is higher than the security guards wage rates, then you will have to pay the current industry. Suppose the security guards sector is higher than your current sector, then you will have to pay the security guards, vice versa. So that way you will have to take it. So any other questions? Anybody else?
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your opinion.
Yeah, sure. Thank you for asking doubts. Because this also, when you are asking doubts, because this also actually enhances my thought process also. So any other doubts? Okay, we'll proceed. If no doubts, we'll proceed. Right. So now moving to the second part is more to do with the welfare. We are going to see the welfare, principal employer liabilities, penalty and offences. There is something very important, master-servant relationship, which I'll have to cover at any cost. I cannot skip this. SHAM contract I'll have to cover, very important. Then this responsibility of Provident Fund ESA, something very crucial. Then this major changes. Then this two case laws. Can contract workers form trade unions? This is the question being asked. Right. We'll try to cover as much as possible in the next half an hour. Because that is what we have, because last 10 minutes will be for for the quiz and for the feedback, especially for the feedback. All right. So let's start with welfare provisions. See, in welfare provisions, just like in your Factories Act 1948 is one act which lays out the health, safety, and welfare provisions. Health, safety, and welfare provisions. That is what is given in the WASHA's code. So similarly, the Contract Labor Act also deals with the welfare provisions of the contract workers. So what is it? Basically, first is canteen. First, food. Most important thing. I told you that Amazon example. I was thinking, but they behaved like this. So this canteen for workers, 100 or more workers are there. Here, workers means contract workers. Don't get confused with your permanent workers or trainees. Your workers means contract workmen, contract employees. So if more than 100 contract workers are there, then the contractor is supposed to provide. Contractor is supposed to provide canteen. If a particular contractor ABC deploys more than 100 in XYZ company, if a particular contractor, I'm repeating it, if a particular contractor deploys, engages more than 100 workers in a particular company, then the particular contractor is responsible for providing canteen. But practically, this does not happen. Because I have seen in many companies, this does not happen. Because the contractor mostly will not have more than 100. If at all he has, he practically, it's not possible to provide. Generally, the principal employer will provide, and it will be part of the agreement, whatever it is, for the food, for the shoes, for the uniform, for the ID card, or whatever it is. There will be a clause, and there will be an adjustment made accordingly. Generally, but the Act says the contractor engages more than 100 contract workers, particular contractor, then he is supposed to provide a canteen. If he is not providing a canteen, then it is a duty of the principal employer to provide the canteen and recover the cost from the contractor. Similarly, here restroom means not washrooms, Here that restroom, washroom, that restroom what I quoted in Amazon was washroom. They are not allowed to toilets. Here restroom means taking rest. It's like a shelter kind of thing. Restrooms, if there is a night shift work, they should be given separate restrooms, because regular workers generally, I have faced this, they won't allow these fellows to come in the company vehicle. They won't allow these fellows to stay with them, because they will differentiate how we can, whether you will go, sir, you are the head, whether you will go with a junior worker, they will ask him. Okay, fair enough. I'm not telling all are equal, but they will claim this. They will claim this. So if night shift is there, then the contractor is supposed to provide. Again, practically speaking, all these things are provided by the principal employer. Though the principal employer is not obligated to provide, but practically is supposed to provide, then only he will get a good contractor. Then only he can run the business. Drinking water, then toilets. Again, the question of toilets. How, sir, he can come and use our toilets? Sir, how, sir, he come and eat in our dining hall? All this will happen between the permanent workers and the contract workers. In every company it happens. That is why there is a separate dining outlet, at least to the best of my knowledge. In 99% of the companies, there is a separate dining hall for the contractors and the regular workers. First aid alone, to the best of my knowledge, first aid alone will be common, because it is life. It will be common. So these are mandatory things which has to be provided. Canteen, there is food, restroom, drinking water, toilets, first aid facilities. This is something important. What is the liability of the principal employer? The principal employer cannot tell, sir, I am not responsible. Contractor did not give what I can do. He cannot tell them. Because once a guy told me, I don't know. I'm not aware of the law itself. They won't agree in the court of law. Ignorance of law is not accepted. I'm not aware. Especially senior level people will tell this, the meetings, because all the compliances are placed in the board meeting, board of directors meeting. If any violation happens in any of the applicable labor laws or for that matter, any laws, it's placed in the board meeting. The concerned HOD is supposed to answer. There you cannot point fingers. You cannot tell I do not. So it is the liability of the principal employer to ensure to provide these facilities if the contractor fails to do so. But he can recover it later, or whatever is the agreement he can do it. But generally, practically, the contractor actually factors these costs into the CTC. I'm telling you because I have worked in detail. He factors each and every single penny, single paisa into the agreement, including shoes, socks, food, travel, personal accident policy, whatever it is, workman's compensation policy, everything he factors it. Every single penny to the last paisa he factors it and puts it as a CTC. Because even if you pay this, we are not getting people. What is the state of affairs today? This second point is very important. Many people do not know this, but they sit in a very higher position. Very, very important point, and very, for your information, very strictly enforced by the inspector during inspection. This point, the second point. This wage payment, of course, everybody is paying on time, unless and otherwise the company is sick, they pay on time. That's not an issue. In front of an authorized representative from the principal employer. When the contractor is distributing the wages, please understand this. A very, very important point. See, let's say this is the contractor, this is the worker, he is paying money to him. Where the principal employer should witness this. Principal employer means you can't ask the occupier or factory manager or the HR head to come. Some representative should witness it. But nowadays everything is electronic. So they should check the bank statement, because on payslip and all you can give faulty information. They should check the bank statement and randomly they can ask questions. Go to the shop floor, go to the place. சம்பளம் கரெக்டா வந்ததா, அந்த இது கூட remit பண்ணாங்களா, deposit பண்ணாங்களா? You should ask, because many things may go wrong here. This is something for you to take notice of. Many things may go wrong here. Because tomorrow, if this fellow files a petition for recovery of wages, files a civil suit, then you will be held liable. Sir, then they will ask you, didn't you check? So this is required. It's very much required. Check their bank statements on a monthly basis. That alone is not enough, because bank statements can be altered. We all know how to alter it. What we'll have to do is we'll have to randomly inquire, because the fellow, after taking 25,000 rupees, his salary is 30,000, let us say. He won't tell that I took this thing. Intentionally, he won't tell I have taken those salary. Nobody will do that. No idiot will do that. So better randomly check with the people. But this is the law. That we have to check. Principal employer has to check. But many organizations do not do this. That is the reality. See, here the penalties and offenses for any violation. Contravention means violation. Obstruction means preventing from showing documents, etc. What will happen of the license terms? See, fine anybody can pay. It is peanut. Lead to imprisonment. Lead to imprisonment. Very, very this thing. They'll be put behind the bars. So the inspectors have powers to inspect. Inspect, we know, it's a decent job. They come, they inform us. Sometimes they don't inform us, do a surprise inspection. Seizing documents means forcibly taking it. Here seized means files putting it. I've seen this, especially when you are not in good terms with the government officer. And what are the registers and notices to be maintained? I'll share it separately. So this act basically overrides inconsistent laws. The meaning of this is, see, generally labor laws should be read parallelly. Okay, should be read parallelly. Just now we saw CLRA, Contract Labor Act, and Minimum Wage Act. Parallelly means the technical term is conjoint reading. This is known as conjoint reading. So, rendu actum pakkathula vachu paatha da you will come to know what is mentioned here, what is mentioned here. But what they are telling here is, whatever is inconsistent in the other law, this Contract Labor Act will override that particular act. Okay, this conjoint reading is very, very important in labor laws. Both laws put together parallelly, you have to divide the page into two and read. That is the beauty of the subject. So here the government means appropriate government. Appropriate government could be central government for public, for government companies. It could be state government for the private companies. They can exempt or modify any provisions during emergencies. Emergency is a COVID. COVID was an emergency. Appo poitu working hour, essential services, those industries were exempted, isn't it? There we cannot be speaking the rules. Now the most important part, which you must understand, it's not mentioned in the act, but I will teach you this out of my own interest. See, this is very, very important for you to understand the relationship between principal employer, contractor, and contract labor. This is known as master-servant relationship. This relationship is known as master-servant relationship. Okay, what is this master-servant relationship? This master-servant relationship is governed by, I'm going to go very slowly here, intentionally, is governed by a contract or agreement. A contract is agreement. It is must. You can't do it. You cannot engage either a contract or an agreement. Just like your appointment letter. But how do you do that? With your legal department, with your legal counsel, or with the experienced whatever it is. So it's a master-servant relationship. Master-servant relationship is governed by a contract. This contract can be of two types: for service employment or off service employment. This contract can be of two types: for service stroke employment or off service stroke employment. What is for service stroke employment? For service stroke employment means the relationship between master and master. Okay, master and master. Master is nothing but the employer. Okay, master is nothing but the employer. Master and master. Here, there is no question of employee. Master and master. For means master and master. Off means, this way you will have to remember, F comes first. Okay, so first F and O comes second. So first for and second off. Off means service stroke employment. Off service employment means between master and servant. Okay, master and servant. So this contract for employment, service or service employment, this thing between ABC, let's say between Holistic HRF is a company, let's say Holistic HRF, and let's say ABC, this master and master. This is regulated by an act called Indian Contract Act 1872. this relationship between holistic HR and between ABC Corporation, both are masters, both are employers, is regulated by the Indian Contract Act 1872, very old act, almost 150 years. All terms and conditions should be according to it. It's a very big act. This off-service employment is basically the relationship between master and server. This is regulated by the Industrial Disputes Act 1947, the Industrial Employment Standing Orders Act 1946. Okay. So how this master-servant relationship happens is through a contract. That contract can be for or off service employment. For service employment means master. That is regulated by Indian Contract Act. Off service employment means between master and servant. That is regulated by ID Act, Industrial Employment Standing Orders Act. So here, let's say M1. M1 is the principal employer. M2 is the contractor. S2 is the contract labor. Contract labor. I'm going one step further. Okay, contract labor. The relationship between M1, here M1 is holistic HR, H3. M2 is ABC. I am the principal employer. ABC is the contractor. So we both are governed by ICA, Indian Contract Act. It's not just like that. Indian Contract Act, 1872. Then further, between M2 and S2. M2 and S2. M2 is ABC, and this S2 is some worker, contract labor. That is between the master and servant. So this is governed by the Industrial Disputes Act, Standing Orders Act. Okay. And the relationship between principal employer and the contract labor, okay, principal employer and the contract labor is governed by the Contract Labor Act. Contract Labor Act is governed by the Contract Labor Act. In fact, this whole thing between principal employer, contractor and contract labor is governed by the CLRA. So here, how many acts? Indian Contract Act, ID Act, Industrial Employment Standing Orders Act 3, the CLRA Act 4, out of which 3 are labor laws. This is not a labor law. This is something related to Contract Act. So you have understood this. This is something very, very crucial which you must understand. All right. Now, what is sham contract? What is sham? Sham contract is something which is a faulty contract, which is an eyewash, basically an eyewash. You don't want to make people permanent, and you don't want to be genuine with the contract employees, contract workers. You don't want to regularize them. You don't want to provide them higher wages. You don't want to provide them social security. You don't want to provide job security. So it is a kind of a disguised relationship. It's not a real employment. It looks like real on paper. On paper, it looks real, but it's not real. If it's proved, then it becomes a problem for the principal employer. It violates the spirit of the labor laws, including the Contract Labor Regulation and Abolition Act, because the objective is to prevent exploitation. Actually, sham contract is exploiting. A sham contract is a contractual arrangement where the employer disguises means cheats a real employment relationship as an independent or a contractual one. Why? To evade statutory obligations. Example: a factory hires workers through a contractor. Very common, we know that. To run its main assembly line, it's given in bold font. Main assembly line. main assembly line. It's a core activity. But the contractor has no control. Contractor has no control in hiring. You are hiring as a HR executive. Contractor has no control on supervision. Your production supervisor supervises. And all the payments are done by you. Just for the sake of records, to evade statutory obligations, you have hired them through a kind of a binami kind of thing. The workers wear the company uniform, they follow the company timings, they report to the company supervisors. Whenever, please note it down, it's not mentioned in this slide, whenever the contract workers are being supervised by the company employees, or the company employees are supervising the contract workers, then it means it's a sham contract. Very simple. If your shift in charge, shift supervisor, production supervisor is supervising the contract labor, then it is a sham contract. Then the contractor, why he comes? Just to evade statutory obligations. This contractor even might be a relative of the principal employer. Who knows? But practically speaking, the workers wear the company uniform, come in the same timings, do the work in the main assembly line, they report to the shift in charges. So the company has control. They are coming in the direct control of the company. So this is a sham contract. And one more example I will give you. I have not mentioned this, but I thought I should share this with you quickly. Suppose we have a person X in one contract for 20 years. That's fine. Same person X, the contractor goes away. Same person X, you are putting him or her into a different contract because the contractor has become bankrupt. Putting him or her in a different contract, that is also a sham contract, which means you cannot continue without that person. It shows that you cannot continue your business activity without that person. Only the contractor has changed from company A to company B. That's all. But that person X is still coming to the company. In one instance, the inspector found, what bullshit you are talking, sir? For 20 years, she is working here. Again, you have transferred her to some other contract, which means without her, you cannot run the company. You agree to that, say. Right. So this responsibility for payment of provident fund, ESI bonus and gratuity, this is a question asked in many forums. See, the primary responsibility, there are two responsibilities. Primary responsibility is that of the contractor. Contractor is only responsible. As I told earlier, it will be factored into the CTC. If the contractor fails, then the principal employer is liable to pay. But the principal employer can recover. How we can recover? Through the bills, monthly bills, through the contract agreement. There should be indemnification clause, or from the security deposit, or through debt recovery by civil suit. But in spite of that, there are instances where the finance department will not clear the bill without clearing the provident fund and bonds and whatever it is. But sometimes they put pressure. There you will have to record it in email. Again, email plays an important role in writing. So what are the major changes in OSHAs? As I said, in some states it's already 50. So universally they are going to make it 50. So this is something good. The second point, this is not good according to me, because small contractors are excluded. There will be more exploitation. Single license, one license for multiple states. See, now the contractor has to take a license for Tamil Nadu. The contractor has to take a license for Karnataka. But in future, one license is enough for both states. This is good. Then common registration under your Factories Act, under your Contract Labor Act, under your Interstate Migrant Workers Act, and all other acts, whatever the acts that are applicable. One single license. So this is a major change. Factories Act, Contract Labor Act, ISMW, Interstate Migrant Workers Act, and whatever the other acts which are where you are taking license. Okay. So this is something very bad, which I have already explained. Very, very bad. They have totally removed the section 10. So already it is digital. So more fast it's going to become. That's what we hope for. So here the bottom line is the lack of abolition. What is this? Provisions, because the act itself is contract labor regulation and abolition. They are removing that abolition. The lack of abolition provisions weakens the protection against the misuse of contract labor in core perennial operations. So this is the conclusion: to ensure welfare of contract labor, to regulate employment and ensure accountability. The compliance is critical for both employer and contractors. So this is one important register which the principal employer has to maintain. Very, very important register of contractors, because many contractors will be there, but register should be maintained. This should be maintained by the contractor. Now everything is digital, but you will have to monitor this. So you should keep copies of this contractor license copy, the agreement. Many a time they return the registration because due to there is no agreement. So what are the tips? Ensure contractors hold valid license and are registered. Authorize a representative to witness wage payments. Now it is digitalized. I told the importance of this. Verify that equal wages and facilities are provided if the contract workers are doing work to regular employees. Contract worker is also doing the same drilling job. Regular worker is also doing the same drilling job, same job, let's say, in an offshore unit, let's say, an oil and refinery. But you cannot pay different salary. There is a case law which I have shared it to you. For security guards, they paid different wages. Security guard deployed through the deployed by the company on wages. Security guard deployed by the agent another wages. So you can't do that. Maintain audit-ready documentation for inspections. So this particular case law, Hindustan Steelworks Construction versus Labor Commissioner, it's a Supreme Court case law. Basically, this case law, what it says is, so the principal employer and contractor agreed some 400 to 600 rupees as wages for the security guards. So the labor commissioner, when he came to the inspection, he found out they paid only 360 rupees. The remaining margin they took. But what the court passed the order, that High Court of Andhra Pradesh passed, ordered the contractor to pay, because contractor has pocketed that money. So he has to pay the withheld amount to the workers. So they filed to they appealed to the Supreme Court. So the Supreme Court clarified, as per section 21, subsection 4, the contractor is primarily responsible. Principal employer steps in only if the contractor fails to pay, but he can recover later. Okay. So here the final judgment is the Supreme Court, the High Court, Andhra Pradesh High Court said principal employer has to pay, but the Supreme Court set aside the High Court's decision, asking the principal employer to pay the additional wage. High Court said principal employer should pay, but Supreme Court ruled against it. It reaffirmed contractors only, because principal employer has paid the contractor. Contractor in turn has failed to pay, because there was a wage parity. Second case law is Himat Singh and others versus Indian Explosives Limited. Here, if you see, it's about the contract workers. They claimed permanent status. Okay. Here, if you see, the particular company, ICI Limited, They had many contractors, but the issue was pertaining to one contractor, Abdul Rahman, okay, where the workers were hired for contractor for various tasks. It's a fertilizer, for various tasks related to fertilizer industry. So here what the High Court ruled is, workers were not engaged in permanent roles. They did not perform, core industrial activity, the fertilizer company. They were employed intermittently, which means not continuously. And they identified themselves as contractors during earlier proceedings. They recognized themselves as contractors. So they generally in judgments, they take precedence, whatever the earlier case. So there was an earlier case known as Steel Authority of India Limited versus Union of India, India. That case they have taken as an example. According to that case, the workers cannot take contradictory stance. In one instance, they told that we are the workers of the contractors. In another instance, they are claiming they are the workers of the principal employer. So this is known as the principle of estoppel, waiver, and acquiescence in law. These are doctrines of law, common doctrines of law, which means earlier you are telling now, earlier whatever you told, you will have to stick to it. You cannot change that. They cannot change the position. So what is the final judgment? The Supreme Court dismissed the appeal, upholding the High Court and Labour Court's decisions. The contract workers could not claim permanency with the principal employer because they did not work continuously. They did not perform core activity. And one of the earlier instances, they claimed as workers of the contractors. Just for the sake of claiming permanency, now they are telling they are the workers of the principal employer. See, finally, can contract workers form trade unions? The answer is yes. In a nutshell, yes. How? As per the Trade Union Act 1926, one of the oldest legislation, whether he is a permanent worker, temporary worker, contract worker, or a casual worker, anybody can form a union. Any 7 or more, by subscribing their names to the rules of the trade union, can form a trade union. And it's a fundamental right as per 19(1)(c) of the Indian Constitution. And Contract Labor Act also does not prohibit it. So these three laws you would have to take. Trade Union Act says can. Indian Constitution, it says fundamental right to form an association. Fundamental right to form an association. Contract Labor Act does not follow it. So the answer is yes. Because many people get confused. Sir, contract labor, yes, they can form. But practically, they will face hurdles, both from employer and contractor. Their bargaining power is very low. Very low. Sometimes this permanent workers union take up the contract workers issue. So that time the management says, we don't talk for contract workers, we talk for you. You are not representing the contract workers union. But sometimes they take up, but they don't have the legal right. So what are the contract workers union which are very common in Tamil Nadu in India? To the best of my knowledge, it is NTPC, VHEL, ONGC, mostly public sector things. There is a company called NLC, Navy Lignite Corporation in Navy. So here many contract workers are there. Then in IT industry, Forum for IT Employees. They also represent contract IT staff. Because IT is one industry where many things are outsourced. Construction and infrastructure sector. They have a welfare board, okay? They have a welfare board. So there is a separate act itself, BOCW, Building and Other Construction Workers Act. Building and Other Construction Workers Act. Under that, there is a welfare board. Then the port and dock workers, Chennai and Mumbai, they have unions. So these are the major unions for contract workers. So these are the prominent ones at the all India level. But if you see here, there is a separate union for All India Contract Workers Federation. It's multi-sector, covers all sectors. It has an affiliation with the Communist Party of India, Marxist left. Many states it's active, supporting for contract and casual workers. Second prominent one is National Contract Workers Federation. It's again pan-India for various multiple sectors. Even for women workers, there's a separate thing, Self-Employed Women's Association. Basically in informal and contract jobs. So this is it actually. So before we conclude, two things. One is, first thing is, before we conclude, what I'm going to do is feedback form. The feedback form, let me just share. I request you to immediately fill it up. It will take just 1 minute, not more than that. Because I have spent 2 hours, I request your honest feedback. I'll share it in the chat box. So I have shared in the chat box quickly. Put your feedback, please. Immediately. Just 1 minute. Then I will take questions after the feedback. Because many a time we miss this feedback. So you can share your feedback quickly. So in the meantime, parallelly, you can raise questions, whatever you have. So whatever questions you have, please ask me. Please ask me, sir, whatever questions you have. Yeah, is it regulation? Yeah, regulation. Somewhere you have asked. Satish, you have asked. Yeah, it is regulation. So any questions, please unmute yourself and ask the questions. Because whatever is possible, I have covered, including the terminologies, registration, licensing, part, welfare, whether contract laborers can form trade unions, case laws, and the list of. Pardon?
Excuse me, sir. This is Satish. I
Ah.
think the link is not for feedback. I think it is for payment, I guess. If
Oh,
I'm
I
right.
see, yeah. Oh, I'm
Kindly check
sorry.
Kindly check it.
Okay. Somewhere I have made a mistake. See, many forms are there. Sometimes I get confused. This link should be the next link which I'm sending. I'm sorry. Good that you said. Yeah, the second link, please use it. First link I have deleted. Second link. So any doubts, please put it quickly. Unmute yourself and ask. We have only a couple of minutes left. So Meena has asked a few queries which I have clarified. Any other queries from Charan, Satish, Padmavati, Shamugapriya? Any queries? Any queries, sir? Not even one question, whether you have understood or not understood. See, one thing you should go through the terminologies. Only if you understand who is a principal employer, who is a contractor, who is a contract worker, who is a workman, the master servant relationship, and the applicability, you can get a gauge of the Contract Labor Act. Otherwise, no. Not only in Contract Labor Act, for that matter, any act. Definitions are very important. Without definitions, you will not understand head or tail in the act. And one other thing is conjoint reading in the act. Conjoint, parallelly you will have to take wherever there is a. Huh? Yes, madam.
Sir, good evening, sir.
Good evening, madam. Yeah, please tell
Sir,
me.
எனக்கு ஒரு சின்ன டவுட் சார். இப்போ
Yeah.
வந்து நாங்க வந்து நாங்க ஃபேக்டரியில வந்து ஒர்க் பண்றோம் சார். இப்போ என்ன டவுட்னா சார், இப்போ எங்களுக்கு கான்ட்ராக்டர்ஸ் வந்து ஒரு 10 கான்ட்ராக்டர்ஸ் பக்கமா மெயின்டைன் பண்றோம் சார். இப்போ என்னன்னா, இப்போ வந்து ஒரு கம்பெனில வந்து கம்பல்சரி வந்து கான்ட்ராக்டர்ஸ் வந்து நம்ம ரெக்ரூட் பண்ணணுமா சார், இல்ல வந்து நாங்க ஆன் ரோல்லே எல்லாத்தையும் எடுத்துக்கலாமா சார்?
அப்படிலாம் எப்படி ஆன் ரோல்ல எடுத்து there is no அது மாதிரி ஒரு நெசசிட்டி இல்ல.
இல்ல சார்,
எடுக்கணும் அப்படின்னு சொல்லலாம் அவசியம் இல்ல.
என்ன சார் புரியலைங்க சார்?
இல்ல கான்ட்ராக்ட் ஒர்க்கர்ஸ் எடுக்கணும்னு எந்த ஒரு கம்பல்ஷனும் இல்ல.
கம்பல்ஷனல், ஏன்னா கான்ட்ராக்ட் ஆக்ட் படி நம்ம கான்ட்ராக்டர்ஸ் வந்து இது கான்ட்ராக்ட் எம்ப்ளாயிஸ் தான் எடுக்கணும்னு ஆப்ஷன் இல்ல, பட் நம்ம ஆப்ஷனுக்கு தான் நம்ம கான்ட்ராக்ட் எம்ப்ளாயிஸ் வந்து எடுக்கணும். கரெக்டாங்க சார்?
கரெக்ட். பேசிக் ரீசன் என்னன்னா liability கம்மி. liability கம்மி. See, risk கம்மி. சிம்பிள் வேர்ட்ஸ் சொல்லலாம், ரிஸ்க் கம்மி. See, tomorrow we are நம்ம இன்னைக்கு ஆபரேட் பண்றது வந்து ஒரு டைனமிக் பிசினஸ் என்வாயரன்மென்ட்ல. Tomorrow the business goes bankrupt or something, your overheads will go up. So that is why for certain activities which are not core, which are not core activities, the core activities இல்லாததுக்கு கான்ட்ராக்ட் லேபர், கான்ட்ராக்ட் வர்க்கர்ஸ் ஹையர் பண்ணலாம்.
ஓகே சார். சார் அப்புறம் one more,
even IT industryலயே IT industry is something a knowledge industry. Even in that industry, many jobs are outsourced.
ஓகே சார். ஓகே சார். ஓகே சார். சார் அப்புறம் ஒன் மோர் டவுட் சார், நீங்க என்னென்ன வந்து டாக்குமெண்ட்ஸ் வந்து பிரின்சிபல் எம்ப்ளாயர் கான்ட்ராக்டர் வந்து நம்ம மெயின்டைன் பண்ணணும்னு சொன்னீங்க சார், அந்த இது பிபிடில பார்த்தேங்க சார். அப்புறம் வந்து சார் இப்போ ஒரு கான்ட்ராக்ட், இப்போ நாங்க வந்து 3 years 4 years ஒன்ஸ் வந்து கான்ட்ராக்ட் மாறிட்டே இருக்கு சார். ஆனா அந்த கான்ட்ராக்ட் எம்ப்ளாயி வந்து 10 years ஆஃப் எங்க கம்பெனில ஒர்க் பண்றாங்க. அவங்க
sham contract. I'm sorry to say.
sham contract.
Sham contract.
ஓகே சார். அவங்களுக்கு வந்து நம்ம கிராஜுவிட்டி வந்து எலிஜிபிள் இல்ல சார்?
100% கொடுக்கணும் மேடம். 100%
ஓகே சார். சரிங்க சார். ஓகே சார்.
sham contract, but வந்து ஓகே நீங்க பாருங்க, you just put it in இது, you just tell your management, because beyond a point you are not the decision maker.
Yes sir, correct sir, exactly sir.
So we can only tell this is there in the law. இத மீறி செஞ்சானா somewhere ஒரு ரைட்டிங்ல ரெக்கார்ட் பண்ணிடு.
ரைட்டிங்ல ரெக்கார்ட் பண்ணனும். ஓகே சார்.
Otherwise tomorrow they will just put the blame on you.
Yes sir.
So any other doubt, madam? Good question.
No sir. No.
What you are telling is you are changing the contractor and keeping the same employees.
Same employees, yes sir.
But okay, it's practically many people are doing it. But what kind of jobs?
Sir, housekeeping only sir. Housekeeping employees.
And okay, should not be an issue actually.
Okay sir.
Should not be an issue.
Okay sir.
But it's happening. It's quite should not be an housekeeping, not at all an issue.
Okay sir. But we have to give them, because higher issues will come sir, because all are local people. So they clearly know if we have completed 4 years and
gradually you will have to pay. Gradually you must pay.
Yes sir.
Any other doubts?
No sir, thank you sir. Thank you.
Yeah, have you submitted the feedback form?
Yes sir, completed sir.
Okay, any other doubts, anybody? Charan. Saran, right? Saran, that is a way to call you. Saran, submitted. Padmavati, submitted.
Yes, sir. Yeah, submitted.
Meena, madam, submitted. Okay, right. Then if that is the case, then okay, I'll share the whatever is possible. I will share all these templates and other stuff over email to you. Okay, any doubts? So please ask me. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thanks for the time.
Yeah. Can we close it? Can we conclude? Okay, right. Thank you. And one more important thing before I close, we have a program on 18th on financial literacy. So it's a 1 hour 15-minute program. The cost is just 99 rupees. And but I can tell you the value which you will get out of the program will be 10x. Will be 10 times more than that. It's basics, but many people do not have financial literacy. So if you're interested, you can register. No compulsions. But it's a must. It's more important than Sharon, you're having some question?
Sir, or chinna doubt, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, core activities, non-core activities, list edavadhu irukuma sir, annexes edavadhu irukuma sir?
Sir, that is what, sir. There are around 200 sectors in India.
Okay.
If you go to a website called moneycontrol.com, you will find 200 sectors: engineering, automobile, fertilizer, oil and gas. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Electronics. So many textiles, leather, footwear, IT, ITES, like the 200 industries are there. So in each industry, what is a core activity will vary. Only if you observe it, or only if you watch it, or only if you work there, the concerned advisory committee, whatever advisory committee I showed you, state advisory committee or central advisory committee, will come to know what is a core activity, what is not a core activity. Okay. What is a core activity, what is not a core activity. For example, in a textile industry, if you take, let us say a blow room is a core activity. Carding is a core activity. Spinning is a core activity. Weaving is a core activity. You cannot tell it's not a core activity. Okay.
Main activities.
Let's say in a chemical industry, let's say, you cannot tell blending is not a core activity. Blending is a key activity in a chemical industry because you are blending all the chemicals. So similarly, depending upon the industry, it will vary. So you cannot have a own judgment that it's not a core activity. It's only the interpretation. Okay, so that's the concerned inspector, whoever is having the control will decide that. We cannot decide. I cannot produce a movie and tell everybody should watch it. If you're interested, you can watch it. Understood?
Okay, sir. Okay.
So அது மாதிரி சொல்ல முடியாது. So core activity na அதுல இருந்து உங்களுக்கு revenue. See, housekeeping is one thing which she said. It's not a core activity. Everybody knows. Gardening not a core activity. Canteen not a core, but canteen in a hotel industry, let's say hotel XYZ, canteen in a core, food in a core activity in a hotel, it's a core activity preparation. See, the context varies. Please understand. Any doubts, sir?
So the other program you said financial, what is it, sir? The
Financial literacy.
Literacy. That's for whom, sir? Actually,
That's for all. That's targeted for all professionals, whether a seasoned professional or a beginner or whatever. These are the basics which one must know. One is earning money. That is one part. Earning money will not grow your wealth. How to manage that money will only grow your wealth. So definitely, I'm not going to give any recommendations or so, but there are certain basic things which one must be aware of, which many people unfortunately are completely unaware of.
Okay.
Totally unaware of. So those things will be
Is
covered
it about in investments and all that, sir?
investments is one part.
Okay.
Investments is one part. Equities is one part. It could be a equity, it could be a mutual fund, or it could be a gold or a silver, or it could be a insurance. That is one part. But apart from that, let's say somebody is buying is taking a housing loan and not taking insurance for that housing.
Okay.
Okay, that is criminal.
Okay.
That is criminal, because if the person passes away, then the whole
Mm.
family will be in streets. Many people do not know that. Even at the highest level, they do not know that. See, they buy a house for 2 crores or whatever it is, but they are unwilling to spend 5 lakhs for the insurance.
Mm.
Something like that. It's just an example I'm telling.
Mm.
Similarly, credit card. If you use the credit cards in a disciplined way, the reward points. With the reward points, you can buy the your attire for the whole year.
Mm.
Something like that in a disciplined
Okay.
way.
Right, sir.
So there will be many points covered there, but that's going to be just a brief session of 75 minutes, crux of it. So many people get confused with what is right or what is. Everybody has an opinion. Stock market itself is a place where it's a place to lose money, but not so, because I have been there for the past 22 years in the stock market. That is why I'm confident telling. Right. So
Right.
any other doubts pertaining to this?
Sir, do you have any suggestions for like where we can get updates related to labor laws or such updates, recent updates? Any website or pages which we can follow?
Follow my page.
We are already following. Is there anything else?
Other than that, there is a journal called Labor Law Reporter. There's the annual subscription. You can subscribe to that Labor Law Journal. But the best is Holistic HRM. Please follow.
Definitely, sir.
Please subscribe to Labor Law Journal. Take a corporate subscription because it's somewhat expensive. There you get the latest amendments. Then other than that, you can go to the website itself, the Ministry of Labor. There you can download Ministry of Labor, Employment and Labor and Employment. Or for Tamil Nadu laws, you can go to the Ministry of Tamil Nadu Labor and Employment. There you can download. It's basically, if you read papers, it is enough. To read papers, you can easily get the updates. The one thing with Chat GPT, which I'm experiencing is, because I'm frequently using it, is sometimes it gives wrong answers. Sometimes it gives wrong answers, especially related to investments. It gives terribly wrong answers. So you can't totally rely that. You will have to cross verify. So that is why it is only going to enhance our efficiency. It's not going to replace that. You cannot take it as a foolproof. But having said that, 80% you can take it. So 20% you will have to apply your mind. So you subscribe to Labor Law Journal, Labor Law Reporter, not Labor Law Journal, Labor Law Reporter.
Okay, sir.
That is fine, and there is this Ministry of Labor and Employment is fine.
Okay.
So any other doubts? No doubts? Okay, we'll conclude this session. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, thank you, sir.